Hello, everybody. It is great to be here again today. My name is Gary Fowler, and I am the CEO, president, and co-founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in Silicon Valley, Palo Alto, and also in Palm Beach in Florida. I've done 17 startups. I've been involved in 2 unicorns. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world and opportunities aren't. And with that, I'd like to introduce an incredible company, QHop, that is from Johannesburg. Ajay Lalu is the CEO and co-founder of the company. QHop, he's a highly astute, experienced, and qualified business leader with 23 years worth of experience, working all the way from Ernst & Young to investments to Blacklight Group, all kinds of companies, director, Blacklight Solar, etc. So an entrepreneur at heart. Started out with Ernst & Young as a director of corporate finance and went forward from there. But with that, I'd like to introduce AJ. Come on, AJ. How you doing today?
Hey, good, thanks, Gary. And you?
I'm fantastic, man. I am just fantastic. I feel like I'm flying. I'm feeling so good.
I know that feeling. We often experience that sense of euphoria.
Exactly. So tell me a little bit about it. So did you grow up? Are you from South Africa originally? Are you from Johannesburg originally? Or where are you from?
So, born in South Africa, originally in Cape Town, moved up to Johannesburg, sure, probably about 19, 20 years ago, with Ernst& Young. And, I think I thrive on the energy of big cities like Johannesburg or New York, London, or Mumbai for that matter. It's something that I really enjoy, just the melting pot of cultures, people. You meet interesting people and interesting ideas all the time.
So, what's the difference between Johannesburg and Cape Town? I mean, what are the real differences between the two, besides the
Uh,
beach?
the beach and the mountain, I think, is probably the
Yeah.
two biggest things. No, I think, look, you know, Johannesburg is the kind of economic hub of South Africa, and it generates 67 to 70% of the country's GDP, and so it really is the economic powerhouse of the country. Cape Town, far more touristy, more laid back, and just a generally a better quality of life compared to big cities like Johannesburg or New York or LA, for that matter.
That's great. And so, yeah, so you go to the University of South Africa, you study accounting, you start out with Ernst and Young and director of corporate finance. What happened? How did you? So you went then you went to Utajiri. This one's a hard one for me to pronounce. Is it Utajiri?
Utajiri, yes. It's a
And
Swahili word, which actually means wealth, strangely enough. So,
really, now why did you go from? So you were at Ernst and Young for 6 years. Why did you go to Utajiri?
so in South Africa, we have a process called Black Economic Empowerment, and it's really meant to reverse some of the economic hardships under apartheid. And I was and am a leading figure in the policy development, advising government and so forth around the policy. And we saw an opportunity to really acquire a stake in Deutsche Bank in South Africa, as their BEE shareholder or Black Empowerment shareholder. And I look back at those days and with great glee, right? Because that's really the thing that allowed me to do a $60 million exit, and successfully kind of settle any liability and obligation there. And that really then says allows me to kind of start other ventures, as you indicated in the intro, serial entrepreneur by heart. So QOP won't be the first or the last venture that I will start, I think, in my lifetime.
No, it's great. So you went to Utajiri, then you went to Bravura Economic Empowerment Consulting. What is that all about?
So again, a consulting house, advising large corporates, Fortune 500 companies, which really allowed me to build a network amongst executives in Fortune 500 companies, from Anglo American through to IBM and Microsoft. So it's really, I mean, those years of consulting and being a strategic advisor to C-suite executives was really an eye opener. You get to see industries and understand how industries operate at a very strategic level. And I was fairly young at the time. So these were amazing opportunities to really grow and develop as an entrepreneur.
Interesting. So, okay, then you go to Blacklight. What's the deal with Blacklight?
So Blacklight is pretty much the same thing, except this was my own baby. Between my wife and I, we owned it 100%, and then eventually, Sanjay Soni, my co-founder in QOP, eventually joined me in that venture. It was just growing too rapidly, and I needed some assistance. It's been around for 11 years, successfully still advising, like I said, Fortune 500 companies. Around Black economic empowerment, including government. So I think we're really in a good space, but it's allowed us to really understand what AB InBev, Microsoft, Samsung, and others actually require, and what they're looking for from data analytics, AI, and so forth. And that's what actually led to the creation of QHop.
Wow, that's interesting. And so, what are like the trends? What do you see happening, AJ, just in general in South Africa? What's happening right now? I mean, I know the startup communities starting to really take off, but what's happening now? Is it real or not? And what do you see happening over the next couple of years?
So, a couple of big trends that we see in Africa, right? Firstly, we're going to have the youngest population in the world in the next 5 years. Okay, 43% of the entire continent's population will be below the age of 35.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can imagine, I mean, youth are a prime market from a technology perspective and so forth. Second trend that we're seeing is Africa has significant challenges, both from an infrastructure perspective, from a technology perspective, and so forth. And those challenges create enormous opportunities that most of the rest of the world won't understand or see. And as a consequence of that, what we found is, the sort of double-edged sword of poverty creates opportunities, and those opportunities create entrepreneurs, and those entrepreneurs solve real-world problems in very innovative ways with very little, right? And so for us to be part of the GSD program, it did two things. One, it exposed us to the valley, but it also gave the valley a sense that, Africa is going to be at the leading edge of technology. It's going to leapfrog the rest of the world, as it has in mobile telecoms and other and financial fintech and so
Fintech,
forth. So
yeah, fintech. It's amazing. No, I agree. I mean, there's 38 countries. Most people don't even realize that the continent's got over 1 billion people. But at the same time, you got a whole lot of different mentalities and customs and cultures, right? Even in countries, there's issues that need to be solved, and so it's going to be interesting. From Egypt down, you got culture after culture. How do you blend those cultures together, AJ? Like, because they're so different, right?
I think the one thing that brings us all together, sorry, Gary, the one thing that binds us all together is the fact that we're African, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think, being African means that we understand each other, we can relate to each other. Recently, the African Union has signed a free trade agreement, the Africa Free Trade Agreement, which now takes down barriers to trade and so forth across the continent. So, like the EU, we're a single custom union, and that's going to spur massive intercontinental trade.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this is on the back of the fact that if we all identify as Africans, firstly, and secondly, we then treat each other with respect, and understand each other's cultures. It's such a melting pot. And every country that I've gone to on the continent, one experiences this energy, which I don't experience in most other parts of the world.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's incredible. In fact, Derek, my partner, was just down there. I mean, in fact, he's getting married in South Africa, right? So I mean, so there's incredible opportunity, and you got to look for those places one of the things that Scott McNeil is one of the founders of Sun Microsystem told me. We had lunch a couple of years ago, and I had heard it before that from him, but he reinforced it, is that always go to area that you fear the most. You're going to learn the most and the greatest opportunities, right? And that the situation in Africa, just because people go, if they're going to a place like Nigeria or Johannesburg or Cape Town, I mean, the cultures are different. I mean, and how do you adjust? How do you get in? Who do you need to talk to? What do you need to talk about? What's interesting? And how do you help build the ecosystem? And once you do that, the world changes. It's incredible. So tell us a little bit about, so you've gone down through, you were doing your consulting pieces. You did your co-founder at, tell us a little bit about QHop and what you want to accomplish with QHop. So, and specifically for retailers, knowing that data is going to increase their bottom line, how does QHop really have an impact on it?
So, very interesting story, right? In the dead heat of COVID, I was standing in a shopping line in a queue, and I just said, there's got to be a better way of checking out rather than having to stand in this long queue. I had 2 or 3 items in my hand, and I was ready. In fact, I had abandoned my basket. I'd left it on the shelf and walked out of the store without buying anything. And I then we started to then think about, how do we solve this problem of abandoned baskets? It's a $4.6 trillion lost revenue opportunity to retail globally every year. Mm-hmm. So we thought about all the things that create these long queues, and it's somebody scanning every item that I picked off the shelves and put in a basket. So we created a mobile app that you use in your hands to scan the barcodes of all the items. We fully integrate that into the retailer's point of sale systems. And then we give you hyper-personalized marketing or promotions, because we know who you are, where you shop, when you shop, what you're buying, how frequently you're buying that, what are you buying with those items. We can give you promotions that nobody else in the store will have. Potentially nobody else in the country will have the same promotions. And so this is the day and age of hyper personalized marketing. The days of spray and pray advertising, I think, are over.
Yeah, no, I agree too. And if they don't do it, they're going to be out of business, right? And as you go into the hyper personalized environment, it's just time. People don't have time, and they want to have things presented. I have myself, right? I wanted to buy a bike the last couple of months, and of course, I was looking around for bikes. All of a sudden, the exact bike, the Dutch bike that I wanted to, that I was looking at, started to come up to me in terms of being presented. And this is out in LA, and then all of a sudden it's presented, but they just happen to have a discounted version, right? One that had been a demo, and they somehow figured out my price point, and I took it. I bought it right on the spot. It was like, oh, okay, it's a couple $100, but they hit the jackpot and then they understood what kind of a seat post I would like. I like the spring-loaded seat post because I like to ride out in the trails. And what happens? That thing's available, and it comes with this. I'm like, you got it. So, if we look at it, how big is the market in Africa right now? And where do you think in terms of your, growing the company, where do you want to go?
Look, I think Africa is a huge market, right? It's a complex market. It's a market which is still catching up from a retail technology perspective. And so we've primarily focused on the Middle East, Europe, and North America, right? We think those markets are more mature. They're more mature in the retail technology curve. And so, with the introduction of Amazon Go and just walkout technology, a lot of retailers are looking at this and saying, how do we take our existing brick and mortar infrastructure and make the user or shopping experience digital? And that's what we provide. We provide this hybrid of just walkout or autonomous checkout, but we're bringing new ways of engaging customers through hyper personalized marketing, shopping list, curbside collection integration, and so forth. So there are a number of features that we intend adding to the solution over the next few months. And so our capital raise and our seed round is really aimed at giving us some runway to build a lot of the features that we know retailers want and customers want as well.
So where are you going to go next? So you're in, what countries are you in today, and where are you going to go next?
So we have pilots starting in South Africa and Saudi Arabia Q1 this year. The Middle East is a really great opportunity for us. Similar time zone, culturally we understand it, and they are at the bleeding edge of technology. They really are looking for new solutions and so forth. Retail is a big industry in the Middle East, and so we really are focused on the Middle East, and then North
What
America.
kind of companies, AJ? Are they big companies? Are they retail block? The brick and mortar companies like Walmart or companies like that? Or are they medium-sized businesses? Who do you go to?
So they're medium-sized businesses at the moment, and mainly in the convenience retail area in particular. Strange how we ended up in that space, but we really are looking at companies like BP. There's a Saudi oil company, Primo, that we're now engaging with, and these companies are 200, 300 sort of retail outlets, stores that we'll penetrate over the next 2 years.
No, that's fantastic. How do you stop fraud? Because somebody coming out, they scan. Well, how do they know if it was scanned or not? Does it automatically deactivate a code somewhere? What does it do?
So that's one of the things that we spend a lot of time developing or thinking around, right? And we validate in two ways. One, we have a algorithm which uses weight validation, and it's a dynamic algorithm. So every basket's
And
tolerance is unique.
the basket. How does it grab the basket to know what the weight is?
So part of the checkout process is you have to take the basket to a kiosk. You'd place your basket on the kiosk, and we would weigh what you've scanned versus what we're expecting to be physically there.
I got it.
The next iteration will have a
What
vision
happens if
AI.
it's off, AJ? If it's off, let's say it's off a kilo, right?
Yeah.
Or even less than that, a quarter of a kilo. What do you do? How do you know which? I don't know about you, but one of the reasons I hate going to self-service is because I'm afraid if something happened and said it didn't get it, what didn't it get? You know what I mean?
No, so look, that's the challenge that we're solving in the next version, right? So the next version will have a vision AI capability, and we will look down at the basket, identify what's physically there versus what you've scanned, and then prompt you to say, the following items are in the basket but have not been scanned. Do you want to add them? So you don't even have to scan them. We will just automatically add them to your virtual basket.
Oh my God, that's great. How accurate is it?
Look, again, these are complex algorithms. We have single items that we've tested and very successfully with 95% plus confidence. The complexity comes when you have multiple items in the same basket. You have depth perception that you got to cater for. So these are complex algorithms that we have to develop, and we're developing them with the likes of Microsoft, right? So we have some vision AI specialists in Seattle that we're working with right now on these algorithms.
Wow, that's incredible. And so you're in Africa. What's next? What's the next continent you're going to go to?
Look, without a doubt, we're coming to the Valley. We want to conquer the North American market. It is a huge retail market, and it's something that we believe, all retailers, including the likes of Walmart or Kroger, are all looking for. How do we counter the Amazon Go model, right?
Right. Whether if they don't do something, they'll be out of business, right? They're significantly altered in terms of the business model because Amazon's doing a really, really good job. Really good job. And they learn too. By the way, just a note, one time I had a problem with an order and I got Jeff Bezos' email address and I wrote him and I got a response.
Wow.
And let me
That's
tell you,
amazing.
It's not a problem. What had happened is they shipped 2 pianos to my father's house. My father was sick, and I bought a piano so somebody could play music there. I didn't even want to buy one because I didn't want to have it in the house, but I had 2. There was a glitch in the system, and I was livid. I was really upset. I was right. I didn't write him. I didn't write a mean thing, but I said, Jeff, I just want to let you know my father who just had a stroke recently. I bought him a piano to have somebody come in and play, and because of this glitch in the system, he's gotten 2 now. He said, just keep it. And I'm like, that's not the point. I don't want a piano. You know what I mean? It's not the point. I appreciate it. You're very kind. It's great. It's not that I don't have the money for another piano. I don't want another one. It's not going to be any fun, This is not fun. So anyhow, he got it. Their executive team called me up. So that's the other part. When you're building a company like yours, you got to stay connected. And one thing Bezos has done a really good job of is staying connected with the customer. He's got his heart on the pulse all the time. of what's happening in the company.
You're right, and you have to do that, right? I mean, as an entrepreneur, I do pretty much everything from sales and marketing to product development to testing, right? And I mean, even in our customer feedback processes, I'm the one person that ends up with, right? So I have a dashboard, we look at it, we monitor it closely, and you have to be reactive, right? You have to fix the problem. It's not only about sending the nice standard emails, it's about actually understanding the pain point and making sure that in future those other customers don't go to do the same thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so you've had a recent announcement. I understand Rick Orloff has joined the board of advisors. So tell us a little bit about Rick Orloff.
So, firstly, Gary, thanks for the introduction, right? I mean, if it wasn't for GSD and the program that we're on, we would never, not in a million years, had access to people like Rick Orloff, right? So, I must
Has it
say,
helped, AJ?
GSD.
Have you used it at all lately? And what kind of response have you had?
Look, I mean, the response we've had is absolutely phenomenal. So, just having Steve Jobs' personal cleaner, and when I say cleaner, he's the data security guy. He's the guy that found the missing iPhone that was stolen from Steve Jobs, right? So having somebody of that stature and that nature, and somebody that's so well regarded in the cybersecurity space, serve on our advisory board, a little startup from the southern tip of Africa. It's phenomenal. The fact that people look at us differently, customers look at us differently. They understand that we take their data and their data security extremely seriously.
Mm-hmm.
That just elevates QHop to a different level and dimension.
Yeah, it does help when you go in and you say, well, let me tell you, let me show you our deck. And here's one of our recent additions to the advisory board, Rick Orloff. And it does help. But, across the board, in fact, I had a podcast right before this that I did with VCTV, and how important are advisors. They're critically important. Because if you have the right kind of advisors on board, those are the optics for the outside world of what kind of company you are. And they understand if somebody like a Rick Orloff joins, somebody that's that stature, that you're a very serious company and that they better take a look at you.
And we're about to announce two more. We're waiting for final approvals, but two industry heavyweights are going to join us as well. So, these are all other validations that what we built is relevant, that people see the benefit, they see the data, and they see the data analytic opportunities. They believe we're going to be the next Facebook, right? And for me, that's the ultimate feather in our cap, right? That validation, that external validation from industry heavyweights like yourself, like Rick Orloff, and a few others that are about to join. So watch the space. We're going to make some really good announcements in the next week or so.
Oh, that's great. So we're coming to the top of the show. Just closing statements from your standpoint. What do you see is going to happen for your company, for QHop over the next year? And how do people reach out to you if they want to get a hold of you?
So we're raising some serious capital. We're doing a seed round at the moment. And we're also expecting a couple of announcements in the next week or so around that. And if companies want to get a hold of us, just contact me, right? It's AJ, AY, my first name, at q-hop.com.
That's fantastic. So, AJ, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me today on GSD Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. And I'm the host. My name is Gary Fowler. To each and every one of you out there, the key is go get them, get shit done. Don't just talk about it. Go out and take action. Go get shit done. Life is short. Enjoy yourself. Be happy. Stay healthy. And keep smiling, because that will help you move your company forward. Connect the dots, meet with folks, network, communicate, use LinkedIn, use all your data sources to get to people. You can make it happen. You have the opportunity, but it's also about you. Go get it done. Thank you, AJ. Thanks to my audience for joining me. Stay tuned for another edition of GSD Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech, coming to you on Thursday. My name is Gary Fowler. See everybody later. Take care of yourselves.